This task will be a review of the data commonly stored in the vector and raster data models. In the lab, you'll explore the Lab 1 data and answer some questions, and I'll go over some of that material here in this video. So let's start by looking at several raster data sets. Here I have QGIS Desktop open with a .dem file loaded. This raster is considered a continuous raster, meaning that the cell values vary continuously to form a surface. In other words, there aren't discrete features with boundaries represented by this data set. In this case, each cell value represents the elevation above sea level in meters. And you can see in the legend that the two numbers, 1775 and 3255, are the lowest and highest elevation values in this raster, respectively. And the data is symbolized on a black to white color ramp stretched from the lowest to the highest value. So let's add another raster. I'll use the Add Raster Data button, and we'll add this one that begins with 05. So this covers a smaller spatial extent. And if I open up the layer properties for this new raster and go to the Style tab, I can see that it's using the multiband raster renderer by default. This is a multiband raster image with red and green light combined with color infrared to create what we call a false color composite. So on this image, the reddish areas are going to represent the most vigorous vegetative growth. So this is a good band combination for looking at vegetative health. So let's add another raster. I'll add this landfire evt.img file. Covers the same extent. Let me zoom into this. This raster dataset represents existing vegetation types. So this is considered a categorical raster. This means that the data being represented have discrete boundaries with attributes that are descriptions, classes, or categories, rather than continuous phenomena. So in this case, each cell value represents a different vegetation type. So let's look at some vector data. I'm going to zoom to the previous extent and click the Add Vector Data button. And I'm going to switch the filter to Esri shapefiles. So I just see those, and I'll click the road and trail shapefiles. Click Open. Both these get added. Let me go in and change the color for one of these so that we can distinguish them on the map a little better. Okay, so now the trails are in orange and the roads are in that dark blue color. Now I'll review some of the vector data concepts and characteristics. So being vector data sets, it means that these features are defined by coordinate values that represent precise positioning of these features. Now let's say I wanted to know what the coordinate reference system is for the roads layer. I can double click on that, go to the General tab, and the coordinate reference system is listed here. It's in UTM Zone 13 using the NAD83 datum. If I wanted to know how many features are in this layer, I can go to the Metadata tab, and if I expand this so that I can see the properties at the bottom of this page, I'll have a listing for the number of features in the layer, 6,324. That's one way to find out the number of features. Another way to do that is to right-click on the layer, open up the attribute table, and see the number of records in the attribute table. In the typical vector data set, each record in the attribute table will correspond to one feature on the map. There are some exceptions to that, but that's the general rule. In the next task, you'll review some GIS data file formats.